Hello everyone, welcome back to a video here on Play on GA with me, Seamus Brady and Luke Payton. In this video, we are going to be talking about the disgraceful scenes really at the end of the Galway Armagh game at full time. So setting the scene, Luke, of course, Rian O'Neill kicks that free. There's chaos in the stadium, and all the players are sprinting off. And then next thing, pretty predictably, let's be honest, all of a sudden all the players are choking each other, pushing each other, punching each other. And an eye gouge as well. That absolute chump. Don't know who he is. No one knows who he is. Comes in off the bench in his tracksuit and decides to scratch Damien Coburn's face. I mean, that's illegal in the UFC. You get disqualified in literal cage fighting for what he's doing to Damien Comer. So for me, heavy punishment needs to be put down on him. I mean, that's absolutely disgraceful what he did. And then you could see him walking away in the replay like he's a big man. I mean, he just scraped someone's eye. It's a dirty move. And shocking scenes.
Yeah, look, and I think the name of the guy that did it will be coming out soon. He's a member of the extended Armagh panel that he's had an injury all year as well. So I think, look, he's a player that Armagh would be looking to have involved next year, and look, he played a good bit of the league as well. So the fact that he could be facing a serious enough suspension is a bit of a disaster for Armagh. And look, it's this situation again where a dramatic end to a game where a last minute score has been kicked and the stadium's absolutely rocking as well. Somebody has to have the sense to say, stop one team, and when they're out in the pitch and say, look, we're not going down the tunnel together. Because when that happens, there's not a bother. There's never a bother when that happens. It's just that thing is that fellas are pumped up and they're running down the tunnel. All of a sudden, somebody bumps into another or something like that. And then before you know it, all hair's flying loose there now. So it's it really added to the drama and everything as well. Sure, like on RTE, when RTE were about to cut to the ad break, and then you're seeing what's going on, and you can forget about the ad break. So it's
I heard the music. I heard the music for the cut scene where they were going to show it, and then all of a sudden we're just watching the scrap, and then Darren Maloney comes back on the commentary. All of a sudden he's talking us through it. So this whole notion of the GAA don't like this, the GAA love this shit. They absolutely eat it up all the time. I've never seen a game more romanticized in my life than the Dublin Meath rivalries in the 90s, where they just punched the head off each other in every single game. The Meath Mayo final in 96, that's been talked about ever since it happened. The tunnel, you cannot tell me that they didn't have the slightest clue that sending them both down the same tunnel would lead to this. I mean, Dublin Mayo in 2020 in that final, Dublin Tyrone in the league game up in Armagh, Clare Limerick this year in the Munster final. Like, sending teams down the tunnel at the same time after a dramatic end to a half is a guaranteed recipe for someone to say something and then something happens. It's always going to happen. Down the tunnel is where stuff happens, because there's this whole ideology of, I don't want to let him step across me and be the one who pulls out of walking down the tunnel first. And then, it's next man in. You're in for your teammate, which every team carries that mentality. Every club team, every county team, every college team carries that mentality. So one in, all in. And then next thing, you have the whole team involved. For Sean Kelly and Aidan Nugent, I thought it was pretty harsh. I genuinely didn't see what they'd done in particular that was so bad that they were the ones that had to walk. He could have sent anyone off.
Yeah, that the interesting part about that is that the two captains were sent off, and I'd wonder if it was just that they were nearly told to take one for the team or something. That they probably, I don't know what the referee's logic on it was, because if they were just said that, look, the two captains here, yours are going to go, some players have to go from each side and it's going to be used. But like, I do think it's important that it's looked at for Sean Kelly going forward for an All-Ireland semi-final. I haven't seen anything as of yet. Like, I'm sure the Sunday game on tonight will probably be looking closer in instance and everything as well, and you'll get more of an insight. But it'd be an awful shame if he would be suspended for an All-Ireland semi-final if he didn't do anything. So just for being involved in it, and this whole thing about, look, we all remember the incident earlier in the year, Armagh versus Tyrone, with the whole contributing to a melee thing, where, look, if you were to apply that rule there, the contributing to a melee thing, we would have finished with about 5 aside there. So it's it's the rules are kind of cherry picked when it suits and everything as well. And look, it's classic GA, I suppose, in that, look, it's all kind of common sense refereeing, I suppose, in a way. And yeah, look, I think the fellas that got sent off were unfortunate enough to be the ones, but like, it probably isn't a great look as well that a dust up kind of to that nature, like of that seriousness, can happen, and only two fellas get their marching orders. Really, no fellas on the sideline were got rid of. Nobody there whatsoever as well. It was just got rid of two fellas, and because it was the start of extra time, sure, they just got subbed anyway. So it didn't have any impact whatsoever on it. It was just brushed under the carpet, really. So yeah,
well,
it's probably not.
The GA constantly over the years now, it's like it's a loophole for violence. Like it really is. Like some of the stuff that happens, I'm like, if you did this outside a chipper, if you did this outside in the street, you genuinely be in like serious trouble. Like especially what your man did to Damien Comer's face, like, and things like that all of it, especially in club games. Like you remember Sean Kavanagh there not long ago had like his face was pretty much unrecognizable after some fella hit him about 10 times. Like it's dangerous when it's just a red card, and then let's be real, you'll get the suspension overturned as well if you kick up enough of a fuss about it. Like, so what can the GA actually do? Or with this question as well, I want to attach another question. What can the GA actually do to prevent these things happening? And does the GA actually want to prevent these things happening? Because I think they absolutely love it. When you look at the coverage that like even something like Cody and Shefflin's handshake got, where they had a split screen of the two of them for the whole build-up of the match, and the whole last 10 minutes, they were just zooming in on the two of them. Like, they love this drama. Drama sells. They're very aware of that. I think right now it's riding right on the line of being potentially dangerous, because I bring up an example here of that brawl was very, very close to the crowd. Like that brawl was very close to the crowd. Same with the Armagh Tyrone one. That brawl was right on the end line. And remember here with I think it was in basketball, it was in the NBA, it was the Troy Pistons and the Indiana Pacers, where the crowd actually ended up getting involved with the players. Like right now, I think it's on the line where I think eventually at a county ground, we could see a fan say something or a fan get involved, and then the player, gets involved with the fan or something like that, if it doesn't get de-escalated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do think that, look, it's always been gone hand in hand with the GA. It's always been violences and this kind of whole malaise. You go to the average club game and you expect to see some sort of melee during it. So look, it's always been there, really. And look, I kind of accept your point really on like whether the GA are fully committed to stopping it, because like I know personally when I was watching that game earlier on today, there was I was getting texts from people that don't even watch Gaelic normally, or people that aren't fully into it will be ringing you saying, "You're watching this, what's going on here?" and all this, and everybody was going mad about it, and it was everywhere, and it was the biggest talking point everywhere. Everybody was tuning into it and stuff as well. And look, it's like there's no such thing as bad publicity, so it's it's
that's what I mean.
really
Bad
kind
blood,
of
good business. Like bad blood, good business, and like it's very similar with the UFC thing with Khabib and McGregor. When that brawl happened after the fight, it was very clear that if they did a rematch, it would be the biggest fight of all time. So, like, bad blood sells, and you were buzzing for that extra time when it happened. I mean, Hillgate, where Mayo went down to Dublin's end, and Dublin came out, and there was nearly a fight before the game even started. I mean, looking back on the videos of that game looks like it would have been one of the best games to be at for atmosphere and for anticipation and everything like that. So don't get me wrong, we need a bit of it in the sport. You need a bit of a bite. You need a bit of a rivalry. But do you think the GA is managing to just about keep it before the line of where it turns really bad?
Yeah, it's hard to know, really. They probably aren't, really, but and there are pretty awful incidents that happen around. You hear about people in club games being prosecuted for assaults and incidents like that as well, that it does happen, and that it does absolutely step over the line. But so they just need to find that balance, because look, the game itself will be talked about for years to come, that game will. And like when people talk back on the 2022 championship, they'll talk about the mad quarterfinal between Armagh and Galway. And look, and the first thing most people will talk about is the Brawl and the tunnel afterwards as well. And look, and that's kind of, I don't know if it's part of the GA's culture, is that these games with the huge dust-ups in them are the ones that are remembered the most fondly, I think. So it's a weird balance to find. Like, obviously you can't condone some of the stuff where like the hand in the face you can't condone, and like obviously it's not nice when there's a huge amount of punches being thrown at somebody as well that are landing that cause somebody serious damage. But like then at the same time, the attention it draws and the atmosphere in the stadium and everything as well, it led to a pretty incredible occasion, really. And and it just led to a very tense extra time. And look, it didn't disappoint really, the game itself. And like before that, it was already really good, and then it just added to the whole drama of the occasion. So, but look, it is not nice to see, and probably not nice to be involved in stuff like that as well. But yeah, look, we'll see what happens when it comes to future suspensions and the like.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely needed in the GA, a little bit of it. But I think sometimes right now in the game, it's going a little bit too far. It's happening all the time. Yeah, I think, look, there's simple fixes that the GA can do so that they get it below the line of where it's a good rivalry without the nastiness. I think it just send them into different tunnels. They don't need to be in the same one. If you've dressing rooms on either side of the stadium, put one team in one and one team in the other. Simple as, especially if there's a chance that the game ends like that. That's a very easy way to prevent 50% of the brawls. Like 50% of the brawls happen going down the tunnels because there is that close proximity. People are running into a tiny space. You don't want to get out of the way for someone, psychologically, to show that you're scared of them or whatever. So these are going to keep happening, and they will. And like, I can see it happening with Dublin Kerry. I can definitely see it happening with Galway Derry. Two teams that are new, two teams that will be given absolutely everything. If they're sent down the tunnel together, I can see it happening again, especially if Clare play Limerick in the All-Ireland hurling final. Like the rivalry there between those two counties. The other thing is, the reason that I know it's not bad is that you see the players immediately after, like they're laughing with each other and they're shaking hands, and, like Sean Kelly comes back out with Rian O'Neill to do the coin toss for the extra time period, and the two of them are there chatting away, whereas 5 minutes ago they were boxing the head off each other. Like, it's a bit mad. And somehow the GA has managed to get this, that like it's just part of the game, but we're all on the same team. And once the fight ends, it's kind of, is it kind of left there?
I think so. And look, at the end of the game, there was no tension whatsoever between the two teams, and that they were well able to mix with each other, and they were swapping jerseys and everything as well. So there was no bad blood whatsoever, which is, it is a little bit unusual consider the nature of it, in that it actually, like you see sometimes, and then people are saying, it was overblown a little bit and there was nothing really in it. There definitely was something in that one there today, and there was plenty done in that game that could have potentially caused bad blood. So the fact that it didn't seem to do so at the end, like, it's pretty remarkable, really, I suppose. But look, yeah, that's it. It is just it's a common thing in the GA as well, that look, once the game's done and everything, and no matter what's happened in it as well, people just park it and then look to come back to it the next time they face off.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's one thing that the GA has nailed, that there tends to be more of a whatever happens on the pitch, stays on the pitch, and that tends to go around most club teams, most county teams. So that is a good thing that the GA has managed to nail. But yeah, we'll see if there's any more scraps over the next few weeks. Be interesting to see. It's an interesting debate. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. What is your stance on Malays and the GA? Do you think that they are absolutely necessary? Do you think the GA should do more to stamp them out? Or do you think that we should just embrace them as part of our game? Let us know what you think. Get involved in the comments below. And until the next one, guys, take care.